Welcome back, everyone, to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. Now, where we left off in our previous video was we had our first ever oval race, or at least as far as I can remember anyway, in Phoenix, and it turned out great. We got on the podium. Both cars finished well, and so we ended up the season being 6th in the team championship, which isn't terrible, but there's a lot to be said for how close the competition was. You know, we had one team that ran away with it. They were head and shoulders away from a bit ahead of everyone else, but they're going to be moving up to Tier 1 this next season, and of course another team from Tier 1 will be moving down to take their place. So we'll have to see how strong they are. But look at how strong the competition is. You know, we've got a grand total of 5 points out of second place for us. So there's a lot to look forward to for this next season, which will be our second season in Tier 2. So if we think about what all we've got going on, we've got our two drivers, 6th and 12th in the driver standings. Of course, looking for much more out of them next season. Let's go through some emails. We've got some normal emails that we get, the news stories, car condition, which they'll be looking to repair that. And then we got some contracts that we need to either figure out how we're going to replace these folks or renew their contracts. Both race mechanics, our lead designer, and then also Sergio, one of our drivers. So let's come in and take a look at our driver first. Now, you remember Rodriguez has 2 more years on his contract, which I think is going to line up pretty well with his age. I know somewhere in the mid-30s, the drivers have a much higher rate of, or much higher chance of declining stats. So, you know, this should line up pretty good for that. And then Sergio, only 23 years old. Now, yes, he does cause us quite a bit of grief with various things that come up. And of course, he's got a situation where he doesn't want to take team orders from you and all sorts of stuff like that. But so he can be a bit of a pain, but I do want to keep him around because he is a pretty good driver. So right now we're looking at $767,000 that we're paying for Rodriguez and $519. Now I'm sure Sergio is going to want more than $519. He's going to want closer to this number. And quite frankly, I'm not terribly worried about it from a money perspective. And the reason is simple. I spent this entire season in the negative with varying amounts based on when sponsorship money came in and all that kind of thing. I spent it all in the red, and it really didn't seem to affect anything. And of course, here very shortly in the video, we'll get an email as we progress through the days that will give us our prize money, which hopefully will be, you know, quite a bit of money and will enable us to do some things this off season with regards to our car. So with that in mind, being in the red really doesn't bother me much anymore. I know there's a limit to how much in the red you can get. And if we take a look at this graph, I see that 5 million in the red is the bottom of the chart. Now, I don't know if that's a hard limit for you to where your chairman will issue an ultimatum after that, or if it's flexible depending on the team. I have no idea. But as long as I can stay within 2 to 4 million in the hole, I'm not worried about it too much. You can see here I've spent most of the time just under 2 million in the hole. So we're not going to worry too much about this number. Let's go ahead and see if we can renew his contract. Before, he hasn't wanted to. Hopefully after that good finish in the last race, he will want to. And yep, that's what I thought. It's amazing what a good finish can do for your mental state. So we're going to renew him as equal status. And right now he's making $519. We're going to go ahead and up that a little bit. Let's go to $629. That will put him about 150,000 or so per race below our other driver. But I have to be careful. He doesn't have a whole lot of patience here. All right, we're going to go ahead and what do we want to do? He wants a short contract. I want a couple of years. He wants just 1 year, but we're going to try to get by with a couple. Let's see now. We've not had a qualifying bonus because I'm not too terribly worried about that because that doesn't pay out a whole bunch of points. Being on the pole does, but if you're not on the pole, it really doesn't help us out a whole lot with points. It's the race that matters. So right now, third or above, he's getting 54,000. Let's go ahead and up that just a tick. All right, and let's see how that works out. So I think we're in pretty good shape here as far as an offer. Hopefully he will accept this. If not, then we'll have to make some decisions on where we go from here. So I'm not worried about a reserve driver at all. The only way I would change my mind on that is if I could find a reserve driver that was a pay driver and had a great feedback score, something like 18 to 20 on feedback, so that I could use them during the practice session and probably net out, $100 or so thousand for the weekend. But beyond that, I'm just not terribly worried about it. All right, so we've got everybody here needs to either be replaced or renewed. Let's come in first and take a look at our lead designer. And I'm okay with where we are on our lead designer right now. She's not good at all in engine, not all that great on gearbox, which is what we specialize in basically. But overall, I think she's really good. And I'm going to try to keep her around for about the same amount, 177,000. Okay, she's interested, so that's step one out of the way. Let's go ahead. She wants a long-term contract. Let's see. I'll start with that. Again, she's not bad. Once we can finally get up into tier 1, she is going to be below standard, I would imagine, but we'll see how things go. Step 1 is getting to the upper tier, and then we'll worry about it from there. Let's see. I'm going to try to match everything here. Okay, I tell you what. Let's go 2 years here. I really don't want to keep her for 3 years. And again, my thinking is I'm shooting for championship this year, so that would give her 1 year with us in tier 1 to sort of see how things go. Maybe we renew it, maybe we don't. And if we don't win the championship this year and it takes us an additional year, then that will enable us to decide where we want to go after that. So 3 years is about 1 year too long. She's got a little bit of patience. If we have to go 3 years, I'm not completely opposed to that. So it's not the end of the world, but we're going to start out here. Now let's see about Janet Murphy. Okay, she's not interested at all, so we're going to have to go another route there. And then we've got our final race mechanic, who is our best race mechanic. And let's see if he wants to renew. Okay, he's interested. All right, I like the sound of that. And again, I'm going to try to keep everything as close to the same. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead. Well, let's see. Let me take that back. He has basically no patience. So we're going to up that just a little bit. And he wants a long-term contract. I'm good with that because he is a good one to have on the staff. Let's see. No qualifying bonus. And before we had 8th or above, we're going to up that to 3rd or above. Okay. All right, because if we're finishing on the podium in races, I'm happy to pay out the money. All right, so this looks good to me. All right, now we're going to need to scout out another race mechanic. So if we look here, what we've been using this particular race mechanic for is performance in improving our parts. So I like that idea. 20, I don't think you can get any better than 20 on performance. So we're going to be looking for somebody for reliability mainly. And of course, the better they are with part fixes and pit stops, that's even better, obviously. So right now we're at a reliability of 19 for Janet Murphy. So we're going to be looking to see if we can get pretty close to that. Also, she's pretty good. 13 is not bad on pit stops. Part fixes is 10, so not great. But we'll see what we can find. And let's go into race mechanics. We're not interested in anybody who's already employed. Let's come down. Let's see. What do we have here? Performance, we don't, obviously is good, but reliability 14, pit stops. Okay, not great, especially considering he is a 4-star. Let's see what we get here. Okay, pit stops 20. Wow, that is awesome. But reliability is not good and part fixes are terrible. Let's see what else we can find. All right, we got reliability 13, pit stops and part fixes not great. Part fixes and pit stops not great, but good reliability, very good reliability. Let's keep going a little bit. Reliability not good, but great part fixes and very good pit stops. I may have to sacrifice this reliability thing. Again, reliability is really only an issue for us for about the first 4 races of the year, maybe 5 races, depending on how you look at it and how you work your new parts in. So, but wow, excellent part fixes. And again, that's also only an issue during the first part of the season, and pit stops being at 16 is pretty great. So let's see, pit stops. Pit stops are the things that will carry on. All right, let's see what we got. Wow, 20 on pit stops, 16 on part fixes. And yikes, that is tremendous. All right, I'm liking this. I'm going to sacrifice that reliability for that is very good. Now, the performance we don't have to worry about because I believe that only applies just as the reliability to in between races when you're improving your parts. But I love that pit stops. The faster the pit stops, the more positions we can make up, the better finishes. So I'm stuck between these two, really. And I think I'm going to go, yeah, I think I'm going to go with Kelly Shaw. Hopefully she's interested. And yes, interested. Okay, now as far as how much per race, I'm really not sure. I know we're paying about a little over 80,000, I think, for our other one, and I'm willing to pay basically that here. She's got a little bit of patience. Let's see, let's go up to 80. Okay, I'm willing to do that. Long-term contract. I love your pit stop rating. So I like that idea. Okay, she prefer a sign-on fee. I'm not going to be too stingy here. Let's see what the maximum is. Okay, it's only 112,000. Again, it's nice that you can say 112,000 as only 112,000. So we're going to back off of that a little bit. But again, we're talking in terms of millions of dollars here, and I don't want to miss out on getting somebody we really want because of that. All right, race bonus isn't very important. Let's go ahead with third. And 36,000. Again, if you can get us on the podium or better, then I am all about giving you a bonus. It is worth it. So, all right, let's see what we get here. I think that's going to be pretty competitive, but I don't know about the sign-on fee. We're pretty close to the max, so hopefully that will work out for us. And she's got a little bit of patience just in case it doesn't. Okay, let's go there. And let's see, I think that takes care of what we need. Let's see, a couple of bonuses. These, I got to tell you, they're nice to have, but I haven't really found much of any reason to use them during the race. Maybe I'm missing out there, but all right, so we've offered extensions for our designer and a race mechanic. She's not interested, so we went ahead and did that. Driver, we've got that going. All right, let's see what we've got going on the car side. Oh, that's right, we haven't fast forwarded. So we've got a suspension that's underway, and I'm actually not sure. I think we may run out of time before we can make any use out of this new part. So that may have been some wasted money on us, some sort of hard knock lesson for us on continuing our part development, but we'll see. So we're going to end the season at second on the grid in acceleration, which I'm very happy about. We're well below average on our brakes, not much below average on our front wing, and then our suspension, which is the part we were working on, is well below average there. So we'll see if we can get up a little closer, but before too long, it's going to be time to start working on next year's car. All right, car repair is complete. And let's get in here. All right, and I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this gearbox. We've gotten nearly everything we can get out of that. So, and I don't, we're up at second on the grid there. So I think we're going to be in good shape if all of this carries over to next season relative to where we are on the grid. So now we're going to go ahead and use everything toward the brakes and try to get them as good as we can. The bad news is we're already at 335 here. So I'm not sure we're going to get very much accomplished, but we don't really have any other parts to worry too much about there. Let's go ahead and continue on and see what we've got. Okay, now we get into some really important emails because first and foremost, we got prize money to receive. You look at the Manager of the Year, driver of the year. Okay, so Kruger Motorsport dominated that area. And now we get our prize money. Let's see what we get. All right, 24 million. Very nice. Very nice. So now we're in the green, 21 million. Now, I don't plan on doing any HQ buildings. And the reason is that the one I'm really interested in is the factory, and it costs 15 million. That would leave us only 6 million, and I'm not really interested in that. Now, one new thing that I do have interest in is the forecasting center. And the reason is it unlocks weather patterns much earlier. Now, right now, we can see maybe 2 or 3 laps, I think, into the future, which is very little. So I do like that. So I may end up coming back in here to build that. It's going to be 16 weeks before it's done, so I'm not terribly worried about that, but we'll see how, because I'm really wanting to save as much of this money as I can for the development of our car. I want to make sure that we don't have to skimp on development of our car, and also we know that there is random chances for various emails that come in after developing your car that enable you to see, you know, do you want to pay $1.5 million or 2 million or whatever to improve your car. So I'm saving money for that as well. All right, so now we got our new rules and then promotions. Let's see, new rules. The only rule change we're going to have is they actually removed one of the races from the calendar. So we go from 11 races down to 10. Not crazy about that one, but there were some other things that they wanted to do that I wanted to use my voting power toward more than this one, such as I think they wanted to remove the development of the gearbox, which of course would have killed us because that's our strongest part. So I used a lot of voting power to keep that from happening. And I think there were 1 or 2 other things in there that I can't remember right now that I had to veto from happening. All right, so we're getting an answer back on one of our contract proposals. And all right, excellent. Excellent. So she is ready to take care of that. And this brings me to one of the things that, you know, in every game, it's never going to be exactly the way you want it. That's where mods come in. If you have an active modding community, then they can change a lot of the things that to sort of meet your preference versus the standardized gameplay. And this is one of the things that I don't like about the game. And that is, so we're ready to come in here and we're ready to sign new people. All right, so I went out and I found a new mechanic that wants to be with us next year. I was actually going to re-sign Janet Murphy, but she didn't want to. So now I'm in a position where in order to go ahead and get this done, there's no option to sign her for next season after Janet's contract expires. So now I'm going to have to take the hit. Granted, it's a small hit in this case, but if it were a driver, it may be a much bigger hit. If I had, let's say Sergio didn't want to re-sign with me, well, I've got to go ahead and get things in motion for a new driver, but I might have to pay off his contract. So in this case, I don't like this part. I wish we could go ahead and sign people for next season. That way you could go ahead and get your staff and your drivers lined up well in advance instead of having to wait to the very end like I'm doing now. So let's go ahead and sign Kelly Shaw, and she's going to take the place of Janet Murphy. This is going to cost us a little bit of money, $157,000. That is the cost of the sign-on fee as well as breaking her contract. So we'll go ahead and take care of that. So now Kelly Shaw will come in, and I am very happy. So pretty good on part fixes and pit stops there, but great on pit stops and part fixes here. So I am extremely happy about that. And actually, I'm tempted. If we look here, we got soft tires and risk taker for the bonuses there. I really don't use these bonuses, so I am going to swap out these two. Okay, so now we've got the best pit stops, the best part fixes with our best driver, and that's what I'm interested in. All right, let's see how things line up. Performance, yep, this is exactly how I need it because his focus is on performance, and reliability is going to suffer for sure. But I think it's worth it for what we get. We got some sponsor deals coming in, only 2 at the moment, so we'll let that ride just a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward. I believe we're going to have some more events for us. Yes, we do. We have our suspension part is now in there. All right, and it looks like it's already moved us over into next season numbers. Once it paid us out our money and everything, it moved everything over. So we're going to start out the season 8th, but you can see we're not that far below the average. Let's see, we ended up 3rd on acceleration. Okay, so not bad, a little bit above the average. We're terrible on brakes, and we're basically average on the front wing and just a touch below average on the suspension. So I'm not sure if this is going to have any effect. Looks like brakes, we're doomed on brakes. So let's come down here to our new part, and let's spend all of our effort on that. All right, so far so good there. I'm not going to go ahead and start developing any parts. Maybe we could get by with that, but I do know here very shortly that we're going to be designing next year's parts, so I don't want to waste any more money, just in case that's not something that we're able to do. Let's go ahead and move forward. And okay, so we've got another email, and it looks like Sergio has accepted our offer. That is excellent and exactly what I want to see. So let's go ahead and get that signed. Okay, so now for the next 2 years, we're full on drivers. Now we just need to know about the rest of our staff. And there we go. Looks like we got another contract proposal back. Karen Jones, she likes our proposal. So let's go ahead and sign her. All right, so now we've just got to hear back from one race mechanic, and we're good to go. All right, so now I see we've got, let's go ahead and take care of this email. And now we've got 3 sponsorship offers. So let's go ahead and take a look. All of them are pretty short term, 4, 4, and 6. 10th or above, 12th or above, okay. And okay, looks like this is going to be a pretty simple one. 400,000 per race and 800,000 up front. I'm not going to worry about the home race bonus too much, although that's very nice. So we're going to take this offer, go ahead and take our 800,000. All right, so far so good. Looks like we've got another deal that's done in 2 races and then 3 races for that one. So not too terribly far into the season, we'll have some deals come and done. So look at that, a huge amount. We're in the negative to start the season, but again, we should have a little bit of a cushion there to help us out. And all right, so let's come back and move things forward. And I believe I just saw that we were going to unlock next year's car. So we'll be ready to go ahead and design that. Yes, we are. There we go. And staff, okay, he's still considering. Let's take a quick peek out here. And oh, there he is right here. So it looks like as we move forward into the next day, we're going to have that taken care of. And so it is time to come in and develop next year's chassis. So we set aside $11 million or $1 million per event toward this. So we've got some more money to add to this. Now we've got 32 million. So we don't have to really worry about, saving any money. Again, we're going full out here, but I don't want to waste any money at the same time. So let's see, fuel efficiency. I'm actually not sure that fuel efficiency does anything whatsoever to the car. And the reason I say that is because during each practice session, I run the cars at maximum engine mode, and then the engine mode number 3 and 2 and so on, depending on what strategy I'm looking at using. And it seems like it's always the same amount of fuel per lap, regardless of what fuel efficiency. Now, obviously, the different engine modes use different amounts of fuel, but as far as the efficiency, it doesn't seem to make any difference. Now, what I see that gets me here is this: strong improvability. That's something I love, having strong improvability, but it's also $12 million. So let's see what we get as far as improvability. Right now we're at 1 star, just a little bit beyond that. This gives us a full 2 stars, and this is very close. Base stat modifiers on engines. Well, we can't do anything with engines. They're spec parts, so I'm not terribly worried about that, and I don't think it affects any of the other parts, although it might. All right, so for now, I'm going to stick here because, again, this is very little difference. You could also argue that that's not very much difference either, and we may come back to that as a matter of fact. But for now, we're going to stick here. And let's see, improvability is medium here. Fuel efficiency, again, I'm not sure that makes any difference, but I like the improvability. Let's see what that does. That gets up to close to 2.5 as opposed to just 2. Okay, so far we'll stick with this one. And materials, tire heating. I always like good tire heating simply because it means that we don't have to push the car as hard in our driving style in order to get heat into the tires. But in this case, we'll not be paying $11 million, that's for sure. And frankly, I don't see much reason not to choose the bottom one, so we'll stick there. I'm very disappointed there. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Tire heating, strong here. I like that a lot. And let's see. So tire heating, if I go here, that'll give me about 2.5. That'll give me 2. We're going to be spending a ton of money here. The question is, do I want to spend $3 million extra to get that little bit? Nope, I don't think I do, because tire wear here is medium as opposed to weak. So we're actually hurting our tire wear just a touch. Not as much as I thought, though. Okay, let's go ahead with this option. And we're going to hope that, which is bad to say after spending $15 million, we're going to hope that we get several of those emails that pop up or have a random chance of popping up before our chassis is completely developed, which means before March 1st. And hopefully we can get some improvability out of that. All right, here's our email we've been looking for. Contract accepted. Boy, do I love to see that. Let's go ahead and sign that. And now we're done with both drivers and staff for at least 2 years. And that is excellent. So we'll go ahead and move through that. Let's go ahead and fast forward. And again, we're hoping for emails that pop up about improving our chassis. So far, nothing. All right, an HQ visit for the press. Let's see. Well, we want to keep our marketability up high, and morale is only a temporary thing. We can get that up with performance, so we'll go ahead and do that. I don't want to do anything to decrease our marketability. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get through these just so I can get rid of that annoying icon at the bottom that makes me think that I have actually something to come in here and look at if I don't get rid of it. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue, and we're looking for emails for improvability. There we go. Wow, almost right on cue. All right, so let's go ahead and get through some of these. And then Sergio has a cold for the next 2 weeks. Okay, it looks like, as far as I know, yeah, we're nowhere near the next race, so we're good there. He's going to have plenty of time to get over that. And car improvability, +1, absolutely, we want to do this. $1.5 million is well spent for that improvability. So let's come back into our car. So now wow. Okay, we're into our 4th star now. That is exactly what I want to see. Let's get another one to do that. All right, we've got a couple of more messages. Okay, both of these are news stories. Again, March 1st is when our car development is done. So we got 1 more month to get any emails that pop up. And okay, we got a chance to edit the paint scheme on the car, which I really don't care all that much about. I'm going to leave things the same. I mean, I'm pretty happy with what we got here. Biggest thing is, of course, number one, I don't really care all that much about the paint scheme regardless. But in this case, during the races, you really can't zoom in enough to tell much about your paint scheme anyway, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. But of course, this is our one opportunity to do this for free each season. All right, so now we're a couple of weeks away. Come on, give us a couple more emails here to improve our car, and nope, no such luck. So we end with quite a bit of improvability, but everything else is kind of lackluster. Tire wear is not going to be great. Tire heating is not going to be great. All right, so we got preseason testing that is coming up. Okay, go ahead and fast forward to generate that email. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get our preseason testing. All right, let's go ahead and start this. This is kind of weird and how it does this. You would think you would go to a track and actually get on the track and test and find any issues. The biggest thing we don't want to see here are any issues like what you're seeing down here. So far, so good. And, right at the very end, an oil leak. Okay. But otherwise, we're 6th and 8th as far as speed. I have no idea if that makes any difference whatsoever. Looks like we got a little bit of an increase in morale for Sergio. So he starts out the year very nice. And so an oil leak, that's not what we were looking for. But let's look in our email that we get. It sort of sums things up, and let's see what she says. Testing went brilliantly. Okay, so I'm happy with that. We're in a strong season. We're in a strong position for the rest of the season. So we're 6th and 8th. All right, we're ready to get started on the car. Our first race is 11 days away, and we need to choose our target. Now, our chairman is thinking we're coming in 6th this year. I don't think I want anything to do with 6th. I want to come in first. I want to win this championship, the team championship this year. Unfortunately, 4th is as high as I can go. I wish I could go higher because that would give us even more money per race. So we're going to choose 4th. Let's look at our finances. Okay, so that puts us about where I was last year, about $1 million losing per race. We've got $16 million to start off with. Okay, so not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so let's come in and look at our car. And again, we only have 11 days, so there's not much of anything we're going to be able to do for this as far as reliability goes. But if we take a look, acceleration, deceleration, and low speed corners are what are crucial. And we've only got time to do anything with one of those, and I'm going to make that acceleration. Okay, let's go ahead, and you can see everything is very low. You start out at more or less 40% on all of these, and then you get some amount additional, I believe, based off of your staff. So, all right, so not great. It means we're going to have to do a lot of work on repairs and pit stops and such. But biggest thing we want to do right now is go ahead and get started with some new parts. Let's go ahead and get started with the gearbox. And let's see, so 578 is the best we have right now. Let's see what we've got. Okay, I want to stay away from risk levels. So acceleration gets up to 600. Okay, so that's not terrible. It also gives us a chance to see what's on the next time. So add 40 to the max. I love that. Add 25 to acceleration. Again, I don't worry too much about the build days because the way I approach the season right now, because of the reliability issues that are inherent at the beginning of the season, I've essentially try to look for everything geared toward the second half of the season. I try to do the best I can with the first half of the season, but the real fun is in the second half of the season when we've had a chance to get the reliability out of the way and develop several parts. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Get that underway. Now, we've got $15 million left. Let's come into the HQ. Okay, of course, we don't have enough to upgrade really any buildings, but there's a couple of things that we could do. And the forecasting center is something that I am very interested in because this will become even more important as we move up into tier 1 because we'll want to see how the weather is going to be starting the race and then as we progress in the race, because that's going to change our strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the money and build this. And we'll see how big of a difference it makes. So it looks like it's over here amongst the trees over in this area. All right, so with that in mind, we've got $9.1 million left. Let's go ahead and move forward. See what we got. Oh, Sergio's birthday. And no, we will not be spending $100,000 on his birthday party. These people are used to a standard of living that I can't even dream of if they're spending that kind of money for a birthday party. All right, so we've approached and reached the time for our first race. Also, our first gearbox is almost done, so that's good. All right, and we made it to not quite 70%. Again, this is where Kelly Shaw's low reliability rating really does hurt us a little bit. But again, that's just for the first 3 or 4 races of the year. And once we get past that, she is great in the race for repairs and also for pit stops. So I'm willing to make that adjustment for that. Okay, so we've got those parts that are going to be ready. I'm actually going to go ahead and, well, we'll keep those in there for now, but I'm going to be replacing this one because we're going to have a new part to take its place. So we really only needed this for one race. And so we'll choose our sponsor. I'm looking at 4th or above here. You can see there's really not much difference between 4th and 2nd. So I'm going to go for 4th. And that would make us only lose $223,000, which is good. All right, let's take a look at what we've got. Now we've got Rafael is essentially our #1 driver. They're very close, but he is our best driver. So I want to make sure that he is taken care of. Most of these are actually pretty close. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and give him the better gearbox because as you notice here, a little bit better is going to Sergio in all of these. So I'm going to try to even that out a little bit, and gearbox is very important. So that evens it out, and both of them are content. We have horrible reliability. I'm not looking forward to that. All right, but with that in mind, I believe we're ready for our first race. But because of the length of this video and it being the off-season video, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and we're going to come back with our first race in the next video. So thank you very much for joining me. And not only this Let's Play, but all the Let's Plays that we have here on the channel. And stay tuned for more Motorsport Manager.